That's the list that you want to be included in. San Francisco now a 5th consecutive win, along with Steve Weich, Mike Gam with you. And not only do they get a 5th consecutive win, but their pursuit for a #1 seed in the NFC, that's still alive.
Still very much alive, and right now they actually move up to the 5th seed with that victory, and that is a huge spot. If you're not going to win the division and have to go on the road, you really don't want to go to Philadelphia. Here right now they play Carolina. They play the winner of the NFC South. So by them winning this game, they position themselves a little better. But Mike, like you said, the final 2 weeks are going to be absolutely intense. They play the Seahawks in Week 18. The division and the #1 seed, the NFC, could come down to that game.
And by the way, just since we're talking about the postseason, we'll get to Brock Purdy in just a second here. I do want to mention, because of this Colts loss, Jags, Chargers, Bills all now clinch a postseason spot, which means 2 spots left in the AFC, because Denver and New England also have solidified a postseason berth already. Brock Purdy, though, major story. You throw 5 tugs in a game that's going to grab a whole lot of attention.
Well, absolutely, because coming into the game, starting off, Phillip Rivers was dealing, and then Brock Purdy said, "I'm sorry, Phillip. I know you're at home. I know you're a great story, but we have bigger things to do." And Brock Purdy came out and was just fantastic. Early on, it was to George Kittle, and then CMC got DeMarcus Robinson involved, and then later, let it be known, it was Jawan Jennings who he kept throwing it to before finishing off with a TD pass to CMC. But Purdy has been on an absolute heater, and the way he is running this offense and some of the creative things that Kyle Shanahan did with this kind of bow motion with fullback Kyle Juszczyk all game to kind of distort some of the Colts' keys was absolutely fantastic. The short passing game, the intermediate passing game. Purdy was clean for most of the time as well. Just continuing what they've got going. Again, the way this offense is playing right now to kind of make up for some concerns on defense, an incredibly dangerous football team.
9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the last game for Brock Purdy. And that also includes tonight, because he did throw an interception this evening. But you take a look, and I gave these numbers before. This is a heck of a list here. And it also speaks to just how talented this guy is. I know there were some concerns earlier this year dealing with the turf toe. Right. Sort of speculating because they were winning games with Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, yeah.
You know, we're going to have a real conversation about which guy is going to have this job moving forward. And I think the organization, Kyle Shanahan, kind of said the right things there, said, hey, this is still Brock's job. And yet he threw some picks in those first few games back into, you know, coming back off of that injury. 7 picks, actually, to be exact, in those first 4 games. Things have settled down for him.
Real concerning, again, the last 3 or 4 weeks. He has played excellent football, whether it's from the pocket, whether they move him a little bit, whether they're run heavy or they're mixing it in. He's played such clean football. In the leadership he's showing, it almost looks easy. It almost looked easy at different points tonight. Here, just a beautiful strike down the middle of the field. They found some things in the center of this defense, but he was also hitting the edges, on the move. And George Kittle, the connection they had early on was significant. Then once they got up by 2 scores to come out, when they scored at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, coming out of the half, we saw Shane Steichen coming out of the halftime interview saying we have to get a stop. Brock drove them straight down the field for that score, and then that's when things got a little bit sideways. Phillip Rivers had to start throwing the ball a little bit more. But again, the way they're just spreading the ball around and some things that they did schematically, this is basic zone scheme. They were showing some diagrams on it during the broadcast. But just the way Purdy, it was very, very easy the way they were able to carve up this Colts team.
It looks like he's having fun out there,
yeah,
which is another important aspect to this, and it's fun when you win, especially when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey in the fold. Last 2 games for him, been a little limited here. I started to get a little concerned, Steve, I don't know about you, about the usage, because the amount of touches this season, you just start thinking, hey, is that part of the reason why things are slowing down? Pump the brakes on it here. It goes for $117 on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Goes for $117 on the ground, 6 catches, 29 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And Christian McCaffrey, I mean, salute to him. The usage and the way he's performed this season, especially when Purdy was out. And then at times tonight, there were times where he looked gassed or he looked absolutely kind of physically worn down from some of the hits he was taking. Then he stepped right back up and answered the bell, kind of led the character of this team. Plus, this is a player who's lost a lot of playing time because of injuries in the past years. And again, every time you get a chance to take a snap on the football field, it is meaningful to an NFL player. And he shows this over and over again. This is a great play design right here. Just get a match up on the linebacker. But again, McCaffrey, we saw this. Terrell Davis, the Hall of Fame running back who played for Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike, talked about when they get rolling with the tailback, they're going to use you. They're going to use you over and over. We see the high number of touches McCaffrey has had this season. A little bit of a departure from the way the Niners used him in previous years, where they would split some of the carries, especially in the passing game. But he's just been so vital with injuries to other players. Think about wide receiver with Brandon Ayuk not being there all year, Ricky Pearsall not being in, Kittle being in and out of the lineup, Juwan Jennings being in and out of the lineup. That guy there at 23 has been the most reliable player on their offense, and that's not something you could have said about him just because of the health and durability in previous years.
Sixth in the NFL in terms of receptions. And
How about that?
I'm not even talking about the running back spot. I mean, sixth in the NFL, period, end of story. I mean, guys can be flirting with 100 catches on the year at that running back spot. And then look at this list.
This is insane. We were talking about this while we were watching the game. Look at the company he's keeping right here. And a couple of those guys, Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith, those guys were mainly rushers. So McCaffrey, the fact that he's a dual threat and he is on that list, wouldn't be shocking to anybody if he finds himself joining them in Canton, Ohio. But these are 5 of the greatest running backs to ever play the game. And Christian McCaffrey being in that conversation, when you look at those statistics, and these aren't some hyped up fantasy football statistics or 16-game season statistics, this is a player who, when healthy, is just that good.
And as dangerous as any player that there is right now in the NFL.
100%.
We always talk about, you know, the running back spot and how it's been devalued. I think some people have come around here when assessing this spot. And I think a lot of it has to do with McCaffrey, what we're seeing from him. I would throw in Derrick Henry's performance from last year. You look, holistically speaking, at the teams that make pushes in the postseason, there's usually a lead back that is a difference maker. And right now, San Francisco, who once again has the ability to be a #1 seed in the NFC, they got one of those guys.
You have a lead back or you have a great defense, because you look at some of the teams, and let's look at the NFC West, where they're still jockeying for that top spot. Seattle doesn't necessarily have a lead back. The Rams don't necessarily have a lead back, even though Kyron Williams is a heck of a player. He does split carries at Blake Querim, but they've got quarterbacks and they've got great defenses. So this is something, again, because San Francisco, because of all the injuries, they don't have their typical stonewall defense.
Yeah.
But they've got to go on these 8 and 9 and 10 play drives like did over and over against the Colts tonight to keep their defense off the field, to put themselves in position to make opposing teams throw the ball a lot. So again, this is the formula the Niners are going to have to use to get through the lineup in the playoffs that they have to face. And again, getting to that #5 seed is a big point for whoever doesn't win that NFC West right now, because again, you don't want to go to Philadelphia. We saw last year with the Rams how that weather factored into the outcome of the game.
Yeah, no, you know, it's wild here because you talk about these methodical drives and these long drives, and I'm looking at some of these touchdown scores: 6 plays, 8 plays, 9 plays, 10 plays. So you're right,
yes,
trying to kill as much clock as possible, and yet they're still finding ways to score on all of these drives. There was a graphic during the game broadcast, like their last 19 drives, it was like 10 touchdowns and, you know, 6 field goal. I mean, it's
well, their punter Thomas Morstead right now is like, cool, I'm good. I mean, prop up the lawn chair and kick your feet.